I spent the early part of my life in the United States in the retailing industry in three entrepreneurial companies, two of which I founded and one I took public. So the great thing about what I do at London Business School today is that I've actually practiced what I teach. People often ask us at London Business School, can you teach somebody to be an entrepreneur? And our view is you can't just pick somebody up off the street and turn them into an entrepreneur. But the entrepreneurial path is a long and difficult one, and you can learn how to cope with the inevitable challenges, the predictable challenges that lie along that path. So clearly we can teach people to be a more effective entrepreneur. There's an interesting question about entrepreneurship, and that is, are the challenges today the same as those that we might have faced 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or even 100 years ago? Entrepreneurship is a timeless challenge, and the challenges that entrepreneurs face are really fundamentally the same over time. At the end of the day, entrepreneurship is a team sport, and entrepreneurs' ability to gather resources around them of the kind that they need and put that together has been the same for hundreds of years and will never change. People wonder why so many startups fail, and the startup statistics are pretty dismal. However you measure it, it's clear that over the first 5 years, most new ventures will be gone. The question is why? At the end of the day, the reason most ventures fail is that the entrepreneur starting that venture didn't clearly understand what the marketplace needed, what the big problem was to solve in the marketplace, and come up with a solution that would solve that problem and be priced at a level that the person who has that problem is willing to pay. One of the key challenges for entrepreneurs with startup companies is that they live in a fantasy world, and they've got an idea that they believe customers will want, and they write a business plan that assumes customers will want it and assumes what the costs are and assumes what the competitive reaction are. I call this the every kid in China syndrome. If I could only sell a Coke to every kid in China, I'd be rich. Well, that's what many business plans look like. And in fact, all those assumptions are just naive assumptions that really don't hold any water. So the rigors of the real world require that what entrepreneurs really need to do is get real data from real customers about real products and services to find out if the opportunity they have in mind actually makes any sense with real customers. Failing that, it's all really just speculations, and often, too often, it falls over like a house of cards. Being clear about who your customer is really crucial for entrepreneurs, and in fact, many of the most successful entrepreneurs start with a very narrow customer group. In fact, Nike, the athletic footwear maker, began its business with a target market that consisted of elite distance runners in the Northwest United States. Well, that's a tiny target market, of course, but Phil Knight and Bill Bowerman, the founders of Nike, were very clear on what they were trying to do for those runners. One of the real challenges many startups face is how to get the word out so customers can find their product. Fortunately, these days we have the internet, and there's the possibility that viral communication will spread on the internet. But it's all too difficult to actually make that happen. So really the best way to be able to get an idea out about some new idea or new product that an entrepreneur wants to take to market is to bring something to market that actually is remarkable. It's distinctive, it's different, it solves real customer problems, and by doing that, people will spontaneously want to talk about it, whether they talk about it online, whether they talk about it to their families and friends. That's really the least expensive and the most important way really to market a new product today. One of the key issues for entrepreneurs is the network that he or she brings to the table. It's important for many reasons, but one of the surprising reasons why networks are important is that most of the time plan A, that is the initial idea that an entrepreneur has to bring to market, plan A doesn't work. In fact, most angel investors will tell you they make all their money not on plan A that they funded, but actually on plan B or plan C or who knows, plan Z. Now, because the risks are so high in new ventures, we know that most new ones are going to fail. Banks simply don't want to lend to new ventures. So the time at which you can get bank capital in a young company is once you've proven there's a customer, once there's proven cash flow, not just a spreadsheet that says there'll be cash flow, or once you have some collateral to put up against your money. So if you want to mortgage your house and put that money into the business, yeah, that's a way you can get money from a bank. But raising money on the back of the business probably isn't going to be successful until the business has proven it generates cash flow.
So sometimes I get asked, why should you start a business in the UK? Why not somewhere else? Well, the UK is actually a pretty fertile ground for starting a new business for a number of reasons. Number one, the UK has long been a center of global trade, so there are well-established relationships of all kinds between UK and economies all over the world. And these days, if you want to build a really successful entrepreneurial business that's likely to have scale, you have to think globally from day one. Well, what better place than London, for example, could you sit to think globally? So that's one reason why the UK is a good place to start a business. The most inspiring young entrepreneurial company I know today is one started by 3 of my students in India, and the company's purpose is to provide what you might call last mile distribution of socially relevant products to rural India, where there's essentially no good retail distribution, where it's very difficult for large companies to reach, and where the economies of doing business are really tough. So this business called Dharma identifies village-level entrepreneurs, empowers them to go sell these products to other people in their villages, gives them an income that they sorely need from selling those products, finances the products through the distribution channel, and identifies sources for things such as lights, solar cookers, and various other things that people in these remote villages in India really, really need and don't have access to, especially at affordable prices. I believe this business will be a role model for how we can reach rural consumers in the emerging markets, and has enormous potential to grow. It's really inspiring. What people can expect from my books, either The New Business Road Test or Getting to Plan B, is a lively read peppered full of real-world examples of companies like Apple, companies like Google, companies like EMC, the fabulous data storage company in the United States, as well as companies that failed, because actually many of the lessons we need to learn as entrepreneurs come from failures. So my books are stories about successes, but they're also stories about successes. And from a retelling of these companies that have gone before us, we can actually learn what's likely to happen to a new venture, perhaps like yours.